Hello, and welcome to Zen and the Art of Eloqua, presented by Mass Engines. My name is Anthony, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit today about how to put together an IP warming campaign for a new instance that you've just spun up. So let's navigate to the program builder area to actually take a look at what the IP warming campaign will look like. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying that there actually is a best practiced IP warming template that you can leverage that will always come with your Eloqua instance. You can find it in the best practice IP warming folder in your program builder list. But that one's a little bit complex and very large because it's more of a dynamic program. It doesn't really matter what day that you turn it on or add contacts to it or anything else. It just kind of follows the same structure that we're going to talk about today, but everything is very dynamic and is very much automated. If you're like me and you want to have a little bit more control over what exactly is happening and when, then what I've built out for you guys today is a good example of exactly that. And really, they do serve the same function. One is just dynamic and automated. The other one is a little bit more manual and gives you a little bit more control and flexibility. But regardless, this will show and help me to illustrate exactly what is going on in all of the different steps. So really, let's start with what is IP warming. So when you purchase Eloqua, and especially if you purchase dedicated IPs from them. Those IPs will be basically like newborns in the realm of ESPs and email recipient platforms. And you want to spend some time to ramp up your mailings so that these email providers don't get slammed with a whole bunch of emails that are coming in from this brand new IP that they've never heard of, and all of a sudden you have a lot of rejections, you have a lot of things hitting spam folders, and so on and so forth. So one of the ways that you can counter that, actually the best way that you can counter that, is by running an IP warming campaign from your instance. So who kind of gets included in this IP warming campaign? And that's a great question. And you generally want to include and let's start with the number that you would start with. So if you're sending around 100,000 emails on average, and that's like your usual sends, then that should be the cap of which that you're kind to ramp up to at that point. So there's actually a lovely IP warming calculator that you can download from Topliners. And the link will actually be below in the description of the video for you to just kind of click over to it and download it. And it allows you to plug a number into this top blue bar. So let's say, for example, of 100,000, let's plug 100,000 in. Hit enter, and you'll notice that all of the numbers below will update to let you know how many emails are actually going to get sent out on a specific day, how many are left in the list, and what is our cumulative total that we've sent kind of thus far. And so you'll notice that it starts off very small, just 1,000 individuals out of 100,000 are going to get sent to, and then we start kind of ramping it up as the weeks go on. So generally, IP warming is anywhere between 4 and 6 weeks. This talent calculator that you're looking at and the program that we have in Program Builder that we'll jump back to in a second is the former. So it would be an IP warming campaign that's a little bit more aggressive. It's done in 4 weeks. You can do them a little bit sooner. 3 weeks is definitely doable, but it's certainly a stretch, and it wouldn't be something that we would recommend. But obviously, sometimes you don't have the luxury of time, and so you can make it work in a shorter time frame. You just increase your percentages and eliminate one of the weeks down and just make sure that you're distributing this 60% across the other percentages across the week. And likewise, if you have the time to do a full 6-week campaign, which is what we generally recommend that you do, usually a month is what most marketing ops individuals are given to spin the instance up and get it ready to be deploying mails. So that's why we're talking about it in the realm of 4 weeks. But if you did want to do it in the realm of 6 weeks, rather than having an A and a B week starting on week 2. This would just be week 2. This would be week 3, week 4, week 5, week 6, and so on. So again, just to break it out, week 1, you're going to be actually sending one single batch email across the entire board once a day from Monday to Friday. And then once we get into week 2, we actually start sending it in a 3-day chunk followed by a 2-day chunk. And then the following week, it picks back up again on the Monday in another 3-day chunk and another 2-day chunk. And you'll notice that it's all based percentage-based routing based on how many individuals are left to be sent the mailing. And it starts off at a very small and manageable number that's more of a trickle, so it shouldn't throw up any flags. It shouldn't cause any issues with deliverability. It's only a 1% of your kind of your top list, which in this case would be 100,000. But by the time we get into week 3 and week 4, we're sending to 10%, 20%, and 40% of that 100,000, and so you'll notice that the numbers will go up and up and up from there. But the idea is to kind of have a smooth incline going up. And you can really see that in column B here as it starts in the realm of 1,000, and then we pick up into 3,000, into 4,000, into 5, 6, and then 9 and 7 and so on and upwards. So the idea, again, is to just give it a slow ramp up so that these kind of email service providers have a chance to get to know your IPs and get to know you as a sender and view you as a bit of a trusted source and not just somebody that's kind of batching and blasting and sending tons of emails out and spamming individuals. So let's jump back into Eloqua to see what this actually looks like. So you'll have your program entry, which is where you'll feed your contacts. And actually, let me stop here for a second. I think I got carried away on the numbers and what the kind of weekly routing looks like. But who do you actually want to include in your IP warming campaign? And really, there is no definitive best answer. It's gonna depend on what your kind of contact database looks like, how engaged your individuals are. But generally, the best practice and what we will try to run IP warming campaigns by is by targeting the kind of the cream of the crop. Who are your most engaged users? Who are the people that are more likely to open an email, to maybe click through it? And so these are the people that are not going to, you want to avoid sending to people that are going to mark the mail as a spam or report it. And hopefully that's certainly not something that happens too often. But you want to try to avoid those kinds of things as much as humanly possible. And the best way to do that is to send it to your known good audience. So that would be definite subscribers rather than people that are kind of in the gray area of no status. Maybe they haven't directly opted out, and so you're still able to mail them. But generally, for an IP warming campaign, you want to target people who are engaged with you. They want messaging from you. They're happy to receive a message, and they're not going to kind of set off any flags or file any reports against you for messaging. And on top of messaging, what kind of messaging should be included in the IP warming campaign? And generally, it's something along the lines of hey, you're a valued subscriber of ours. We just want to let you know that we're migrating platforms. Here's our new sending domain, and maybe if you want to even include the sending IPs, just so that they have a chance to whitelist it in their email program, that will prevent them from having any kind of service interruptions in the future. And that's just a really good way to kind of break the ice, get something in their inbox, build your reputation and your sender score and your deliverability, while at the same time being courteous and cognizant of the time of your contacts and making sure that they have the tools in order to continue receiving the messaging that they clearly want to receive from you. So back into the program here, you'll notice that there's a series of decision rules after the entry that are basically going to do percentage-based routing across the board and kind of split up that initial value of, in this case, let's say 100,000, kind of across the board to the different divisions and the different weeks that are going to get sent. So this guy right here would be week 1. Then we get into week 2 across these guys here, week 3, and then into week 4 at the tail end with all of the remainder overflow kind of going off the end of that guy. So here, let's just kind of pop in and do an edit decision rule and see what exactly we're doing. So it's simply selecting from the list of decisions that you can do. It's just simply selecting the percentage-based routing, and then you just enter in the percentage that you're looking for. So the first one would be 1, then we get into 4, 5, 8, 10, 20, 40, and so on. So once the contacts have been routed, you'll notice that we have a wait step that's right underneath all of the decision rules. And this is basically going to hold those contacts until their week occurs and it's time for those mailings to get sent out to those individuals. So we've kind of built this out as if we were starting our 4-week campaign starting on this upcoming Monday. So that would be February the 8th. So you'll notice that this guy is waiting for February the 8th, and then it will execute and send to the next step, which is the actual batch email send of week 1. And then subsequently, when we get into week 2, you'll notice that it's waiting for the 15th, which is the following week. And then that's for batch 2A, which, if you recall, if I hop back to the document here, week 2A is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then 2B continues on Thursday and Friday, which we'll see by going back to the program. I apologize for jumping around. But this 5% split here is actually 2B, which is called out here in send batch 2B. And this guy's actually waiting for February the 18th, which if I pull up my calendar again, you'll see that that's just later in the week. So we have 2A starting here. The emails go out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then week 2B begins on the 18th and goes out to Thursday, Friday, and then we have a dead zone on the weekends. You definitely want to try to avoid sending on the weekends just as a general email best practice. So this IP warming campaign, and especially the one that Eloqua includes outside of the box in the best practice area, we'll make sure that no emails ever get sent out on the Sundays, and we'll actually be checking dynamically for what day of the week it is in order to kickstart the week, whether it be a full week or whether it be a week split like we have with 2A and 2B. So the actual next step would be to actually send the email. So now we've waited until the right time. The email, it's ready to be sent. It's time for these individuals to have their IP warming messaging sent out to them. So let's open up this step to see what that looks like. And we're just selecting the send batch email. And we always want that to execute. We've just selected a general template that we have, but this would be the IP warming email that you would put together that would have the messaging that I was kind of talking about of, hey, we're changing systems and so on and so forth. And you want to make sure that the email group you're using for that is something that's kind of transactional based. It's not something that you necessarily want to have individuals be able to opt out for, because it is kind of a system notification. Hey, you're one of our current subscribers. This is a system notice to let you know that we're having a change in platforms, and in order to make sure that your service is not interrupted, we're sending this message out to let you know that you can update your information on your system to make sure that the emails are always going to your inbox and not into a spam folder or something along those lines that some email programs will do filtering based on sending domain or IP. So then we get into frequency. So we don't want to send all the emails at once. We want to send them over, in this case, since it's the first week, we want to send them over the entire week. So we're going to do send emails in batches over a number of days, and that would be 5 days. And then if you want to change to include a signature, or if you have signature rules set up by specific users, you can tag a user to be the one who's sending the email out, and so that signature will get associated. You can do the same thing if you're managing program builder by step owners. You can do the same thing. So tag the step owner, it will get sent out with the signature that's associated with that. Or you can choose a specific signature rule, or just kind of send without a signature, and then it will just use the base footer that's being used in the email itself. So that's pretty much the same across the board. The only difference is when we get into week 2A and 2B, week 3A, 3B, the frequency details will be changed. So the A's will be 3 days, and the B's will be listed as 2 days, just to make sure that it's going on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for A, and then for B it's Thursday, Friday. So that's basically it. The program will run over, as we say, in the case of this program here, it's a 4-week-long program. And the 4th week, we get into the overlap of, the 5th week, I should say, we get into the overlap of who is the remainder. There will be a small percentage of contacts that get left over from the percentage-based routing, and you'll just kind of trickle those out in the 5th week just as a way to kind of wind down before you start your actual mailings. But this gets you set up in a good place, that your IPs are warmed, they have a good sender score, you have a good deliverability score, and you can be confident that the mails that you're sending out are actually going to make it to your recipients' inboxes. Now, I did say a keyword there being sender score, which I'm going to hop over to our friends at ReturnPath and just kind of pull up one of their sender score reports. Now, this is for one of our clients, and we've whited out the name and the domains to protect them and their reputations and whatnot. But you can see here that sender score is a really good way for you to get a handle on exactly what is happening for a specific IP, and what's your kind of overall score? What is the likelihood that an email sent from this domain is actually going to land in the right inbox? Not necessarily to say right inbox as in the right individual, but for the email addresses that you're sending against, how likely is it that it's actually going to end up in the inbox for those email addresses? So the scores are out of 100. Anything above a 90 is solid. 95 plus is amazing. You'll see this guy here is at a 97, so this is a great sender score. And it will get into, highlight some recent campaigns so that you know exactly what kind of things are being sent out and when those dates were. And it gives you a little bit of extra information on, how many people have blacklisted you, how many people have made a complaint, what's your kind of how often are your messages getting filtered? Are you getting rejected? So on and so forth. It goes into a little bit more detail to let you know exactly what is going on with the emails that are getting sent out from that IP or that domain. But this is a great way to track your IPs during IP warming and beyond as well. So we'll also include a link to senderscore.org so that you can create a free account and get started tracking your IPs if you're not already doing so. And I think that will about cover it for this week's episode. So thank you so much for taking the time to join me today. And like I said, you can check the description box of the video below for the link to the IP warming calculator as well as the link to SenderScore. And we will see you next time. Thanks so much and have a great day.